Hello, hello, and welcome to After the Show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, and I am going to be free flowing in this After the Show today because I listened to Stacey's episode on my walk this morning and I felt so inspired, and a lot of different things came up for me. I am going to touch on a few things versus going deep on one specific thing in this episode because like all of our episodes, there was so much Stacey covered, and it's really hard for me to pick one. But I was very inspired by several things that she said that I think we can really explore in today's episode. And so the first is Stacey mentioned a couple of times how she invests in herself. She's always learning. Like you could tell, she wants to learn every single day, and she is taking business classes and social media classes. And she really understands the power of learning and challenging yourself and being better and not just getting stuck in your own kind of ways of like doing the same thing over and over. And just because that's what you've always done, so this is what we do. Like she is innovative. She wants to be relevant. She wants to be a smart businesswoman, and she invests in herself. And I am such a believer of that. I have invested probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself in masterminds and courses. I mean, significant money, like more than a college degree would cost as a entrepreneur, because I also am very similar to Stacey and believe in the power of education and learning and growing and challenging yourself. You know, I love how she talked about going through business school. A lot of retailers that we talk to, often they maybe are doing like a career change and started their store, or it's been a family business, so they kind of just grew up doing it, or they just have this passion for the products. Some retailers, it's more of a hobby business, depending like you, the listener, wherever you are with your store and your experience. What I like about the business aspect, like if you haven't invested in that way, it can create just more of those systems and structures, and also get your mind thinking differently to create some of that innovation. You could tell that Stacey thinks differently, and that's why she's still in business. Like somebody in Stacey's situation, having 4 stores in New York City, 6 leases, and then the city shuts down, that is crippling. A lot of people lost their businesses during that. And New York City was hit so hard during COVID. So the fact that she just completely jumped into action, was forward thinking and innovative, is so powerful. And I really just feel like a lot of that comes from like who she is and how she invests in herself in learning. So that was such a big one for me. I just think it's so important. This is why I teach. This is why I have Evolve, and I bring in a lot of other speakers because they have so much knowledge in a lot of different areas. It can't just be me talking all the time. Like we got to learn from other people and other people's experiences. And I just think that kind of helps create the shortcut. It's like the fast pass, like they used to have at Disney. Now it's like lightning lane or something, but I just so believe in that. Another thing that Stacey was talking about was travel. You could tell like she's traveling. This fits her store. She's finding designers in other parts of the world to bring in something new and fresh that her customers aren't seeing everywhere. That's one of the things that makes her super unique. And I could tell she gets a lot of inspiration from travel. And I personally get a lot of inspiration from travel. It helps me think about my business different. It helps me really connect into what's important to me. You really learn like how small of a fish you are when you travel the world. And I love seeing different cultures and how people do business, and very excited because we are gearing up to go to on our honeymoon in a couple of months. I'm filming this mid-October, and we're going to Italy, and we just love Italy. And I just get so inspired being in different countries because it's just so different than here, and hearing different languages. It just creates so much inspiration and can create innovation that you could bring into your store. And so as I was on my walk this morning, I was thinking, I know it's very challenging for retailers to travel, like even coming to Evolve or maybe going to a market can be a challenge to leave the store. There's costs to leave your family. And so we don't always have the luxury to do that. But I do feel like there are opportunities where we can kind of bring the travel to us. And it's a matter of just making the time and space for it. So, for example, every morning I journal. I have my morning routine and I love it. I wake up around 5:30. I get my coffee. Barry, my boy dog, I have a boy and girl. Barry always comes out and sits with me, and I have my coffee on the coffee warmer and I journal. And on the TV, I put on YouTube and I'll do a cafe. And it could be, we could be in London one day, we could be in France, we could be in New York City, I could be at a lake. I'm just in some random area. I'm in the cafe. I don't know what city I'm in. Changes with the seasons, and just having that visual. And it's all done by AI, by the way, which is really cool and kind of funny sometimes because you'll like the leaves are always falling, or there's like butterflies that constantly fly in the same pattern. It's AI, but it looks very realistic and it's very inspiring to me. Like it takes me to different parts of the world during my journaling practice. And I just feel like that's a way that I'm traveling without going anywhere and getting that inspiration and looking at something different. I think that we could do that through a fun, just kind of creative scroll through Pinterest. Like, yes, Pinterest is still a really great platform to use to get inspiration, to drive traffic to an e-commerce website. But just from the inspiration aspect, like if you factored in 10 to 15 minutes a week, like that's it. Everybody listening to this has 10 or 15 minutes a week to scroll and be inspired by different culture or by colors or by just plugging in different cities. Just let your mind kind of take you wherever it needs to flow and check out for a moment and be inspired. And what often happens is we think of an idea that you might pull something in that you see into your window display. You might create an entire new like campaign, a theme that you're focusing on one month because of something you saw. You might even bring a destination into your store and invite your customers to come in and experience Paris for the month of February. Like something fun that maybe February is a slow month for you, but you're doing something unique and special that you could promote, and that they want to get away and they want to go enjoy croissants and coffee and Paris themed items and fashion and whatever that may be. I've never been to Paris, but I feel like those things would, kind of sum it up, right? And so I just think there's opportunity for us. We don't have to go and travel. If you can, I'm really going to recommend it. And there have been several episodes on this show of retailers who do take several weeks off and go vacation and go check out and go travel the world. And so I would really encourage you, like Anna with Pilar is one of those people that I interviewed. I don't have her episode number right here, but my team will link to it in the show notes. If you just search for Anna or Pilar, you'll find her. She takes off, I think, a month or two during the summer, and she's off. She's structured her business to allow her to do that so she can travel. And in fact, I just saw her pictures on Instagram. She's been traveling the coast in Italy with her mom, who is also a retail store owner. And they left their stores and they went on this girls' trip. And I'm sure they got a ton of inspiration to bring back to their stores and their social and to their customers. And so it's just so critical. I also have to give a plug. This shirt's totally from Anna's. Like pretty much everything I wear is from Anna's store, Pilar. I love it. And I love her. So that was a big takeaway for me listening to Stacey. I just saw our retailers getting inspiration through video and social and pictures online. Something I actually do if I'm really needing to get into a creative state and maybe I'm kind of struggling, I have like my creative framework where without it really being a framework, but kind of my routine that I do is I will often light a candle. I have a candle lit right now. I put on a certain playlist depending if I need like thinking music or high energy music. I'll put on music. I'm highly influenced by music. I'll have something warm, a warm beverage, either coffee or decaf, depending on what time of day it is and how much coffee I've already had. And then when I'm often creating something for a retail store, so if I need to get the juices going, I will go to Google and I'll just start searching cute retail storefront window display. Like there's something about seeing a really cute retail store and like that Main Street area with several of the buildings and seeing their sign and the display. Often like the cobblestone gets me a lot. And I find a really cute store and then I just put it big on my monitor on my computer screen on like one part of it. And then I start working on the other part where I'm starting to be like, okay, how am I getting traffic into this store? And almost it's like my store. It just gives me a lot of inspiration and starts to unlock the creativity. But I need like all those things. I need the picture, I need the music, I need the drink, I need the candle. Like I need to set the mood to create this inspiration for me. And that visual aspect as well as the audio is really powerful for me when I'm creating marketing materials or new programs or new offerings. So I think there's power in that for you. And I would love for you to try it. And of course, as always, I want to know how it goes. You could tell me in the Facebook group, check in with me, let me know. But I just love the idea of us traveling. Even you don't have to travel, you can just go on to YouTube. The final thing that I just want to address is at the very end of Stacey's episode in the resilience round, when I asked her what she thinks the future of retail is, she was very honest in her answer. This is why I love that question, because you do get some honest, like, oh, it might be tough. Or there's some advice like, hey, the retailers who do XYZ are going to kill it. Or there's very optimistic people who feel like it is very bright. The answers are all over the board. And that's where I really recommend that you listen all the way through to our episodes because there's gold at the very end. Like that one question is so powerful. There's often a lot of advice there. But she talked about the lack of innovation in the retail industry. And I'm actually going to the National Retail Federation's big show in January in New York City. And it is more big box and bigger retailers, but I have been invited as press because of this show, which is so cool. So I'm going to go and I'm going to learn. And I know that big boxes are innovating. Like I know I'm going to see some really interesting, incredible, possibly mind-blowing AI use case studies, just how we're processing and taking payments. There's new advancements there. I hope I'm seeing really cool displays. Like I'll be taking content, I'll be getting content and bringing it back to our retailers. So stay tuned on all of that. It's going to be awesome. I think I'm also doing a store tour where we're going like to several stores and touring behind the scenes. I'm really excited about that. So, but there is innovation like New York City, those bigger cities, you're going to find things like that. The big boxes have the money, they're innovating. But when we boil down to our independence, we don't see as much. And I feel like there's just a massive opportunity. It doesn't require a big box budget. It doesn't require like you bringing in an innovation expert and they lay out the plans for you. It doesn't require you to like what is the word? I want to say bodos, but that's not the right word. I don't think. Knock down your store. What's that word I'm wanting? Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I really can't think of it, but I could see like the truck just like coming down and knocking down your store. It doesn't require you to like totally rebuild your store. It requires the space to think creatively and innovate and think of your store. And this is what I love about Stacey. She made decisions based on data. She understood where her customers were and put a store there. And when we were at Evolve 2024 this year, Dane Cohen of Management One was one of my speakers, and he talked about data-driven decisions. And that was such a big takeaway for a lot of the retailers in the room that they were not making data-driven decisions. And I think that we use the data and then we look at other industries. We look at different countries. We look at different things to create something special within our business. And we innovate something. We're creative. We're unique. And I think innovation, sometimes we think of like Elon Musk and we're shooting rockets up to Mars and we're automating. We have self-driving vans and all the things. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. I think that we can really be innovators in our own right as small businesses and create those unexpected moments, the surprise and delight, like we talked about in After the Show for Nick's episode. There's just so much opportunity. But what I find with small retailers is we just don't give ourselves the space. We don't give ourselves the time, or we don't believe we can. And that part breaks my heart. I know this because I've talked to retailers. Like, there is sometimes we are holding ourselves back. We don't think we can. I never have before. People will judge me. People will think I can't do it. People will think I'm silly that I'm doing that. And so that's often why we stay exactly where we are and we don't evolve and we don't change, because there is a lot of fear of what people will think, or we don't have the belief in ourselves. And I just really want to encourage, if that's you, to do it anyway, to bet on yourself, to create what you want, that space in your store, to allow your imagination to go there and then to actually implement it. Because I think it could be a game changer for your business. And especially if you're struggling, or if you're like seeing the future and you're like, this is not looking good, we need to make a change. Use the data, use creativity, use your imagination, and innovate. I think there's so much power in that. So that is a few things from Stacey's episode that I felt very inspired to share today in After the Show. It would mean the world to me if you shared this episode with a retailer friend, so we get some more people that we are just helping and serving, which I love doing. And be sure that you're in our Facebook group if you're not already. Search for Rooted in Retail on Facebook. I also just want to plant the seed that starting the beginning of 2025, we have kind of a new surprise and delight thing that we are doing for our Rooted in Retail listeners, and ways to really connect and work more with me and with our retail pros. And I can't wait to tell you more about that. So stay tuned. Make sure that you are definitely subscribed and you're following along so you get the information when we release it in January. So I can't wait. It's going to be so cool. All right. Remember, I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye.
Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.